Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man Jay Rich. Count that money, man. Now wipe the crust out of your eyes. Get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. Good morning, 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 good people. It is Wednesday, May 18th, 2022. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with Ray G. And for that, I appreciate you. I'm feeling good, rejuvenated, refreshed. We had a day off yesterday, this new schedule, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Shout out to our partners, man. Prize Picks. Use the promo code WAKE UP. Betting on the Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, WNBA, MLB, Call of Duty, all kinds of shit, man. We're having a good time, so use the promo code WAKE UP, dollar for dollar match, up to $100. Tap into the podcast. We got a new show on the DD podcast feed. My man Mike and Adam, the 4D Chess Dynasty podcast crew, they're doing Dynasty trades. So if you want to hear and see and listen to a bunch of Dynasty trades and get their dope-ass analysis, make sure you tap into the podcast feed. Subscribe to that. Got some good people in the building this morning, Jay. I see Mike A., Rojo Fish, Ricardo L. Wood, Jay Peters. What's up, big dog? Nathan in the building, my girl Joe. Craig, I don't know who this is, man. Craig, you new? You new to the channel? What's up, Craig? What's up, big dog? Derek in the building, Dynasty Barry. Oh, man, everybody here, man. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day, but I can't get it popping, can't get it started without my co-host, Jay Rich. Where you at, man? There you go.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I like to see that my video quality is back where it needs to be after yesterday's small issue recording our NBA prop show. But I mean, honestly, man, I'm excited for today. There's a lot of fun things happening. Obviously, the teaser you put out on Twitter got people a little bit excited. It's gonna be a good show, man. So I'm not gonna delay too much, and let's hop right into it.
Hopping into what? The show or the news?
Well, what do you want to start with? Because there was a trade.
I ain't gonna hop into the Podfather right now, man. We got news to talk about.
So we gotta make the people wait a little bit. I like this. But first, I want to start with the trade. I told the people that if you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, I would go through them all personally. I read them all, and there was one trade that was in there. I told you if you want to leave a review with the trade, feel free to, and we will answer it on the show. So Ray, single QB. This person traded Josh Allen and received Tony Pollard, Tua Tagovailoa, the 111, which ended up being Jameson Williams, a 2023 first, and a 2023 second, all for Josh Allen. How do you feel about that in a single quarterback league?
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Single quarterback?
Good, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's nice. I mean, significant down tier at quarterback from Allen to Tua, but you pick up a 23 first, J-Mo, Tony Pollard, 23 second. Yeah, man, I'll rock with that in a single quarterback league. Like, I can rock with that. Is that how you feel? Is that how you feel? Do people feel the same way?
I like it, honestly. I mean, the biggest thing for me is, like, even Tua and J-Mo alone, if you're going, even in a single quarterback league, I don't hate that, right? You're still getting a wide receiver who could be a top-tier guy. You get Tony Pollard, who, if for some reason Zeke gets hurt, and then you have the 2023 first and second, I mean, for me, it's a slam dunk tier down, especially in a single quarterback league. But let's pivot then. I don't know if you want to talk about the Miami Heat and their big comeback yesterday versus the Boston Celtics. I mean, Jimmy Butler, just phenomenal.
Beast,
again.
Man.
They finally shut down Jason Tatum in the second half.
Beast.
But overall, man, I don't know who's going to win this series, but I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth overall. It's funny because I don't know if you saw Skip Bayless's tweet talking about how the Heat were gonna lose and the Celtics were going to go one up. It was wild, man. But then, of course, obviously, things flipped in the second half. The Heat came back and won pretty big when it came down to it in the end.
Coach Ollie, appreciate you, man. He just said he loved the show. $4.99 super chat. We appreciate you, man. Appreciate that, big dog. But nah, the Heat, man. Listen, hey, man. They, for whatever reason, man, people got to give Coach Spoelstra his credit, man. Coach Spo coaching his ass off down there in Miami. Philip Lindsay signed with the Colts, man. Are we worried about Jonathan Taylor? Is this panic on JT? Philip Lindsay?
Maybe a little.
Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons? Hell no, man. Nah.
No way.
They had to find a Marlon Mack replacement, right? They just needed a spell back, right? They just needed a spell back. Yeah.
For sure. And then we had Joe Burrow, who shed his knee brace. I'm sure everyone's happy to hear that. Joe Burrow finally shedding his knee brace. And then the safety, Jesse Bates, reportedly not planning on playing on the franchise tag. He's not too happy about that. He wants to get his money. He wants to get paid. So he's saying he's holding out of training camp, holding out of mini camp. That's not great for the Bengals, hoping to get a top-tier safety on the franchise tag. And then I don't know if you caught this one, but you must have. But Jair Alexander getting the bag. 4 years, $84 million extension with the Green Bay Packers, which broke Monday just after the show. I think they need this. If they're going to compete, they're going to need a guy who is their top-tier stalwart corner. And we'll see, because the problem with Jair, he's been hurt quite a bit. And so I'm curious to see how the Packers fans feel about this if he does get hurt again. But for a top-tier player like that, I am all in on Jair Alexander getting his money.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Jesse Bates said he's not playing on the tag. I don't blame him. Get into this Tua news, man. I had a conversation last night with Josh Larkey about Tua and the Miami Dolphins. But what's the confidence? What's the old confidence meter down there in South Beach on old Tua?
So this was an interview with GM Chris Grier talking about the confidence of Tua Tagovailoa, and he said, I think with the additions we've done and the players we've added around him, it has him really excited. It's been a fun watching these guys, how they've bought in with Mike McDaniels. Even the defensive guys said they couldn't believe the transformation in the offense, which, kind of expected. But I think what's funnier is we're seeing, I don't know if you caught these, but there's more Tua passes making the airwaves across the Twitterverse from the Miami social media team. Some were good throws, some maybe a little bit underthrown. Couldn't quite get the drive on those out routes. Just made me laugh to see them. But yeah, Chris Grier seems to be enthusiastic, and obviously the morale and support for Tua has been growing since adding those new additions. And it seems like Mike McDaniel and the offense are really clicking. So it's good to see that from the Dolphins, because we all expect them to take a big leap forward, especially for Tua with this new head coach.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Training, mini camp practice highlights of Tua. Good to know. Good to know they're confident in him. What else we got?
And then the other big piece of news is that I guess some type of litigation that they're going through with Deshaun Watson right now to determine
civil suits.
What, pardon me?
Civil suits.
Is it his civil suits, or is it the actual? It's him with the NFL trying to determine whether or not he broke the personal conduct policy.
Oh,
right?
Well, that's NFL. Yes.
Yes. So they're in Texas right now. He's dealing with the NFL. They're trying to determine what's going to happen with Watson, whether he broke the personal conduct policy, and we know that he definitely did, but it comes down to what extent. And so the rumor is he could be suspended 3 to 4 weeks. But Ray, I think the bigger point, and we've seen this a couple times, could Baker Mayfield ultimately start for the Browns? Ian Rappaport has doubled down, saying he thinks that he could start, while we know that Baker wants out. Do you think there's a chance that Baker could start for the Browns this season?
Yeah, I think he could. I mean, shit, if Watson isn't there, I guess if they want to win, right? If he's only suspended 3 to 4 weeks and he gives them the best chance to win to start the season, then yeah, I mean, I can see it happening. If that gives us an opportunity to sell old Baker Mayfield, then that's what it's going to be. But I mean, we've been saying it. Like if I were drafting Deshaun Watson right now, in my mind, I'm just like, he's going to be suspended the whole year. Like, that's just what I'm preparing for when I build my team, knowing that he probably won't. But that's just how. So 3 games, I'd be pretty happy with that, actually. If that's what he's suspended for, 3 to 4 weeks, and I drafted him this year early-ish.
I'd be super happy.
Yeah, like I'm in my mind, I'm already preparing for the season. So if it comes down and he's only 3 or 4, then I'm good with that. Yeah, Baker could start. Hopefully they can win a couple of games, and then by the time Watson's back, he could just, assume captain of the ship and get it rolling, man. But I think his ass is definitely going to get suspended for some time. I don't know how long, but I think he's going to get suspended, bro.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last piece of news that we saw come across for football fans everywhere, Ray, could I interest you in Lionel Messi coming to Inter Miami to play in the MLS in 2023? And apparently David Beckham offered him part ownership to also come over, so he'd be an owner player in Miami. So in 2023, could we have 2 owner players, Lionel Messi playing for Inter Miami and Tom Brady playing for the Miami Dolphins, both as part owners of said franchises?
Where did you get this Tom Brady in mind? What What TMZ news have you just pulled? Where is this from?
What, the Lionel Messi stuff?
No, Tom Brady. You said Tom Brady.
This has been reported multiple times, man. This is like 2-week-old news probably now.
Oh,
shit. Did you not read it? Oh, man, it was crazy. It was like, oh, yeah, Tom Brady might go. And Sean Payton was apparently going to go with them to coach in Miami. So they were going to bring in Sean Payton. They were going to bring in Tom Brady, and all these things were going to kind of go into place. But then Tom Brady retired. Sean Payton actually yesterday just signed with Fox to be an analyst for them. So again, we'll see, but it's only for the 1 year, right? And then we'll see what ends up happening. But Lionel Messi apparently reported going to Inter Miami in 23 after his contract's done with PSG. And then we're going to see maybe Tom Brady heads down to Miami. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool, man. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting.
This is the people are saying you are spreading fake news. Here we go again. You know how we do on this show.
No fake news here. No fake news.
It's fake news.
I did not say from sources. It's just these are things that I saw, so we're just talking about it. We're just having a good time.
Jay Rich in the building. All right, man. So Jay, we teased the guest today. Now, I don't know if you heard. I don't know if you all heard, but the Podfather at Fantasy Mansion on Twitter, the content colossus, one of the best fantasy dynasty analysts in the game. Jay, I don't know if you heard his most recent Mind the Mansion show, but he had some choice words for old GQ, man. He had some choice words for old GQ.
Really?
Man, told me to suck his private part. I don't want to do that. I'm a married man. I know. He laid into me. He laid into me. But man, you know, in all seriousness, in all fairness, man, Matt is somebody that I have grown to respect. His hustle, his fantasy site, his content is honestly top notch in the game. Top notch in the game. Yes, I heard him. You heard him, John. They tried to come at OGQ. But the good thing is, man, I have the thickest of skin there is in the game. Doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me because it's content, man. And he's somebody that I appreciate, I respect. He's helped me along my way. And it's just good banter, man. It's good fun. It's just not my style. I don't dive into it like that. But, I tweeted some things out, Jay, and he took offense. He chose violence against OGQ. But we're here today to sit down like Nas and Jay-Z and squash the podcast beef. Squash it. Nas and Jay-Z. Which one am I? Am I Nas or Jay? Which one is the Podfather?
I'll give you Nas. I think I'll give the Podfather Jay.
Is he Jay?
First, so.
Is he Jay? Is he Jay?
First, right?
Yeah,
he's got the website. He's got the brand. It's he's got a little bit more, but we're working on it though.
So the Podfather has a special message for everybody in the building, and we're gonna listen to this message. We're gonna talk through some good content here. Friend of mine. Personally respect the shit out of him. So let's hear what old Matt Kelley has to say to the good people of Wake Up today. Let's get it, Jay Rich. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it.
What's up, Ray G fam? It's me, the Podfather. I'm putting on the armbands for this one. Oh yeah. Ray G wanted me to come on and talk to you about veteran wide receivers. He's locked in with rookie talk.
Yeah.
So that I'd come in and give you some veteran wide receivers to draft in both best ball and dynasty. These are wide receivers who are in the center of that Venn diagram. All leagues, all formats. These guys are values. They're the right players in the right situations to win your fantasy league. I will talk rookies. Rookie talk is going to happen.
Okay.
In the context of picking the right wide receiver who's currently past the age apex. Because the way to mine value in fantasy football is to look at wide receivers just past the age apex. Where in dynasty, people are like, these guys, he's old, he's been around forever, I need youth. It's hard to go wrong drafting stud wide receivers in their prime who are also in prime fantasy point scoring situations. And I appreciate this opportunity very much because Ray and I had a little beef. Ray thinks caping up for Brian Edwards truthers like myself, that we're wish casting, and he told me to go read a book. And I objected to that on my podcast, the Sonic Truth Podcast with Nate Liss. So this is the perfect opportunity to show you all that podcast beefs are not real life. So this show for the Ragey audience is what's real. Number 3 best value for fantasy drafts at wide receiver has got to be Brandon Cooks. Now, why Brandon Cooks? Brandon Cooks is the established alpha in Houston, and this offense is going to be better. There's some rare stability happening in Houston with Davis Mills likely to make a mini leap in year 2 and continue to home in on Brandon Cooks. The number 1 wide receiver is always fed no matter what. Take the offensive efficiency, pace of play, throw it away. Throw it away if we're talking about the number 1 wide receiver. And ironically, this comes from the Tom Savage corollary, where DeAndre Hopkins was near the top of the league in fantasy points per game with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson goes out with a torn ACL. In comes Tom Savage. And while the catchable targets went down, the target share went up because lesser quarterbacks will fixate on their number 1 wide receiver at an even higher rate. And sure enough, DeAndre Hopkins made up the difference in fantasy points with additional targets. Well, this is what's happening with Brandon Cooks. And Brandon Cooks is the most consistent wide receiver in the NFL. In that season with the Rams, he was beset by injuries, especially the concussions, and Sean McVay chose to use him as a decoy to feed Woods and Cup and Woods. And we know that Jared Goff is not one to push the ball to the perimeter anyway. So if we throw out that 2019 season with the Rams, Brandon Cooks is commanding between 114 and 133 targets each and every year. And last year, with the Houston Texans, he set his career high with 133 targets. So we know Brandon Cooks will finish somewhere in that band of 114 to 133 targets.
Jay, real quick, where are you at with Cooks? First of all, MK, I know you're watching. When I tweeted that out about Brian Edwards, that was not to you. I was just saying, and I still believe it, Jay. Brian Edwards didn't do shit in Vegas, and he's still not going to do shit in Atlanta. I just don't think so. But that was to everybody. That wasn't to Matt. But what are your thoughts on MK talking about Brandon Cooks, Jay? Because I think he's spot on with that, man.
I'm all in, man. I think it's a great spot. And, you know, we've talked about it multiple times that I was initially hesitant in Houston, but I think he's shown and honestly commanded those targets in Houston. I've talked about how there's no one really there other than Cooks, but I think to Matt's point, Cooks is looking at 130 targets pretty much locked and loaded. And so for me, I think that's a great spot to get a wide receiver who is every year discounted in the Dynasty community because he's been around forever, but it's because he broke out early. He was in the NFL early. He's played on a bunch of teams, but he's always produced outside of the one season that Matt pointed out. So I think he's a great spot to buy if you want to look at a wide receiver who is affordable but can produce for you on your roster.
And Jay Peters said it right here. Cooks is the best value in Dynasty. I'm with you, man. Like, we keep talking about him on this show. I'm spot on with MK with Brandon Cooks, man. Spot on. And I did a show with Josh Larkey last night. Underdog ADP right now, he's coming off the board as wide receiver 30. So if you're out there, I talked to you about a league where I traded a second rounder in 23 for Brandon Cooks. It's wheels up for me for Brandon Cooks, dog.
That's been the volume that Brandon Cooks has commanded. And his best ball ADP right now is 64.2. That is 6th round.
Yeah.
And that's the guy I'm pushing the button on. Fantasy football doesn't have to be hard.
Talk to him,
take
Matt.
The guys that year in, year out command 120 targets and post wide receiver 2 numbers at value.
Yes, sir.
It's not sexy, but it's right.
I think Brandon Cooks is kind of sexy,
2,
Jay Rich.
It's Mike Williams. Now, know this. Mike Williams is not particularly efficient. You look at production premium, you look at quarterback rating when targeted, he's always been outside the top 20. But efficiency matters more in dynasty leagues where we're trying to find, hey, show me the young players that are the most efficient because we know they're going to be good for the long run. In seasonal leagues in particular, we care more about opportunity and volume. That matters more than efficiency in seasonal leagues and best ball leagues. And why is Mike Williams getting big volume? It's the offensive system and it's Justin Herbert. Yep. Chargers ran 2.2 plays per minute last year. And we're top 5 in pass rate. So if the pass-to-run ratio is high and the pace of play is high, then there's going to be a lot of pass attempts per game. That's how the Chargers can get to 36 pass plays per game. And now with another year of development with Justin Herbert, the schedule's getting even harder. They play the Chiefs twice, the Raiders twice, the Broncos twice. They're playing at Atlanta, and then they cross against the NFC West. That means shootouts against Arizona, shootouts against San Francisco, shootouts against the Los Angeles Rams. Though Mike Williams' target share was outside the top 30 last year, he's being targeted where it matters. Justin Herbert had 112 red zone attempts, and 22% of those went to Mike Williams. And Mike Williams has been characterized as a catch-and-fall-down wide receiver throughout his career. He's actually not. In recent years, he started making up for his low catch rate with yards after the catch. Mike Williams' 406 yards after the catch were top 15 in the NFL last year. So he's not the prototypical outside clasher that we've considered him to be for so many years. He's a versatile, all-purpose perimeter weapon and primary read in the red zone for Justin Herbert, a team that will be involved in as many shootouts as anybody in 2022. This is why Mike Williams is such a smash in the fourth round of best ball leagues, and you can get him even later in Dynasty because he's crossed the age apex. Like, that's the theme. If you're a 28-year-old wide receiver during the 2022 season, we're probably going to like you. And you might say, well, what about Michael Thomas? Well, Michael Thomas is 29. And if it were 2 months ago, I would have had Michael Thomas on this list. But Michael Thomas is not on this list because look what the Saints are doing. They're drafting Chris Olave. And Chris Olave is number 3 in this class in the Breakout Finder. And it's particularly noteworthy because he's a senior. There is a early declare flag that's incredibly predictive and powerful in the Breakout Finder. And even with that early declare flag, which suppressed a player like Jahan Dotson, Chris Olave still comes in higher than Treylon Burks because he was a prolific producer at an early age. He was a young senior. And he would have come out early, could have come out early, but a lot of his teammates were staying back because of the COVID year. So in a normal college career, you can assume that Chris Olave probably would have come out early anyway. The Breakout Finder didn't even know that and still had him top 3. And the New Orleans Saints are no longer the high-volume offense they were with Drew Brees. The pass plays per game have been steadily declining over the years. And we know Michael Thomas is not 100%. Dennis Allen came out and admitted it, that he has hurdles to overcome. Meanwhile, other players around the league that had surgeries have been cleared to practice, not Michael Thomas. And I will remind you that Michael Thomas has not had a 20-point fantasy week since 2019. Week 16 of 2019 was the last time Michael Thomas scored 20 or more fantasy points in PPR leagues. Let that sink in. It's sad when players cross the injury Rubicon, but I believe Michael Thomas is never going to be the same, and that assumption has been reinforced by the signing of Jarvis Landry. Michael Thomas was already near the bottom of the league in target depth year over year, and then they're going to sign Jarvis Landry, the other guy near the bottom of the league in target depth? Who's going to get all the air yards in New Orleans? Chris Olave.
All right, Jay. What do you think about, let's real quick, because Matt's hitting on a lot of cats that we like. He talked Mike Williams. You've been pounding the drum for Chris Olave since the draft. You've been telling people, Jay.
Pre-draft.
Pre-draft. I'm giving you your props, bro. You've been saying it. And I'm just, are we too low as our community on Chris Olave? Should we be higher on Chris Olave? Real talk, man. New Orleans traded up to get this cat, man. MT's not the deep threat. Jameis Winston is YOLO Winston. Like, are we too low on Chris Olave, man?
I think there's a possibility, yeah. You know, like even when the reports came out they signed Jarvis Landry, I talked about how I think this will force Chris Olave to run deeper routes and play more outside. And I still believe that. And Matt's really just reinforcing that point that while they don't throw the ball a ton, he still may be the primary guy to receive those deep targets and receive those crossing routes. You know, while I don't think it's the fairest comparison, I talked a long time ago about how he just reminds me of Tyler Lockett in the way that he will probably win in the NFL. And I see that on the Saints, right? If he's going to run deep crossers, if he's going to run post routes, if he's going to run, you know, a couple fly routes every now and then, and just kind of sneak between the defenders and find his way open using his ability and his IQ on the football field, I could see that happening. Do I think he's undervalued though? Like maybe a little bit. If you want to take him over Jamison Williams, but are you really taking him over Garrett Wilson? And but at that point, like he's been wide receiver 5 for me, right behind the first tier. But people will take Sky Moore over him. People probably won't take Jahan Dotson over him because no one seems to be doing that. People might take Christian Watson over him. But I think he should be wide receiver 5. The draft capital, trading up, all these things really warrant him being the wide receiver 5 in this class. So if that puts him at 6, that puts him at 7. I'm not sure, but somewhere right around there, I think is where Chris Olave should go.
Dynasty Barry, somebody that I really have grown to respect is Dynasty Voice and his opinion and his mindset. Rookie wide receiver 5. And I believe I have him as rookie wide receiver 6. I believe. And a lot of that is just, I'm just going to be honest, man. I like Sky Moore, the tape. I like the tape. I like the tape. I put the film scores out there. I'm not bullshitting. I like the tape, but I love the landing spot, right? So I don't disagree with Matt there. And the fact that he came in so high on the breakout rating, my question is, I saw a lot of people when Matt said Mike Williams is an underrated asset right now. You know, just got the contract extension tethered to Justin Herbert. And a lot of people in the comments are like, man, I can't sell Mike Williams. He's too boomer bust. I mean, I embrace that level of variance, man. Like, I'm fine with that level of variance. I think I'm in on Mike Williams, man. Am I out of my damn mind for saying that?
I don't think you're out of your mind, but I don't know. The question is, how much Mike Williams do you have? Because if you do have a lot of Mike Williams, you know the variance is not one that you want to embrace. If you need to pick whether you start him or sit him,
that's fair.
You're probably starting him, and you're probably getting burned because a lot of the times it feels like, you know, there's a few years. I would honestly kind of compare him to Mike Evans to some degree, because Mike Evans, for some years of his career, got a ton of volume, but it came in bunches. It came in every 3 or 4 games. So you'd start him, and then he would dud for 3 or 4 games. And Mike Williams is kind of the same way. He'll have those 30, 40-point weeks, 150 yards, multiple touchdowns, 10 receptions, but then the next week he'll kind of be out of the game plan. And all of a sudden, he's not seeing those targets. He's not getting those receptions. He comes in at like 40 yards and three receptions. You're like, what just happened? Can you spread it out? Can you give me some consistency? And that is frustrating. So I understand that from a price perspective. But what Matt's saying is, like, you're not buying him to trade him or buying him to sell him later on.
Right.
You're buying him to play on your rosters. And so if you want him to be the guy and you want to go get him, acquire him for a 2nd-round pick, maybe if somehow you could swing that. I think the question is, Ray, is would you trade a 1st for Mike Williams? Because chances are that's probably what you'd have to pay.
No.
And so he feels like one of those guys that we find a lot in Dynasty where he's not really worth a 1st, but there's no way you're getting him for a 2nd. And it's because of that boom-bust potential. And so how you work that trade, I'm not sure. But he is a guy that if you need a wide receiver, could be a wide receiver 3. He's just going to be very inconsistent for you.
Well, let's hit on number 1, because this is a player that I am, like, all over. Last night, I told Larky, would you be shocked at the end of the season if this player, who's number 1, ends up outscoring T. Higgins in 2022? So let's roll in to the number 1 veteran wide receiver buy. Let's get it.
Number 1 value is also 28 years old. And like Mike Williams, he's in one of the most prolific offenses in the league with one of the most shootout-friendly schedules, especially in the second half. The Rams face San Francisco, Tampa, Arizona, New Orleans, Kansas City, Seattle, Las Vegas, Green Bay, Denver, Chargers to close it out. The beauty is the Rams' second game against the Seahawks is the final week of the season. It's not even on the fantasy schedule. And then number 1 value is Allen Robinson. Of course it's Allen Robinson. How could it not be Allen Robinson? And I know you're going to say, well, what are those advanced metrics on Allen Robinson that are so great? I don't much care about the advanced metrics on Allen Robinson. I mean, we could talk about the 1,250-yard season with Mitchell Trubisky under center. We could talk about that. I would rather talk about his 1,400-yard second season with Blake Bortles, the original Mitchell Trubisky. In that season, he scored 14 touchdowns. And 14 touchdowns is the key because this is the path to fantasy points for Allen Robinson. Wide receivers get their fantasy points with either targets or touchdowns. Now, the targets are going to go to Cooper Kupp. We know that. But remember what happened to Odell Beckham Jr. when he came to Los Angeles. He finally started scoring touchdowns. This is what we can look forward to from Allen Robinson. He's 3 inches taller and 20 pounds heavier than Odell Beckham. At this point in their respective careers, Allen Robinson's just better. So if Odell Beckham Jr. comes back to the team, he's going to come back as the number 3 option. Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl last year without the X receiver he's been accustomed to. Calvin Johnson, Kenny Golladay. Now he has that outside alpha.
Talk to him, Matt.
Complement Cooper Kupp at Y and Z. So in these fast-paced LA shootouts, watch Allen Robinson rack up double-digit touchdown weeks time and time and time again. He's going in the 5th round in best ball and even later in Dynasty.
9th round.
He's got multiple good years left, people, just like Mike Williams, just like Brandon Cooks. Those are my top 3 wide receiver fantasy values. For the friends and fans of Ray G, remember, fantasy football doesn't have to be hard.
Let's get it, Matt Kelley, the Podfather on the show. Appreciate him coming through. Jay Rich, I'm just happy because he touched on Allen Robinson at the end of that. I am all fucking in on A-Rob in 2022, Dynasty, best ball, redraft, keeper league, standard scoring. I want A-Rob, man. When you're talking about, we saw what the Rams offense looked like with Odell Beckham Jr. being traded mid-season, right? He was traded. He couldn't even play on the field, Jay, in hurry-up offense because he didn't know the plays. A-Rob is going to be there for the entire offseason program, right? They're having breakfast together. They're on the beach together, doing all that shit together, right? And then he gets to roll into OTAs and training camp and preseason. He gets all that time with Stafford. And if I told you, like, how long has Allen Robinson been, like, bad for? Like, in your mind, you're like, oh, man, it's been a couple of years since he's been really good. He's 1 year removed from a 1,200-yard season. 1 year. Last year, the Bears were a shit show, and he didn't care, right? Like, he wasn't playing, wasn't out there. The Bears were terrible. Terrible. The year before that, in 2020, 1,250 yards, 6 touchdowns, I believe on close to 100 receptions. A-Rob is still that dude, man. And now he gets to play with the best quarterback that he's ever played with in his career. In an offense that wants to just, you talk about YOLO wins. Matt Stafford is truly the king of the YOLO. He doesn't give a shit, man. He'll throw back-to-back picks and keep it coming. Like Matt Stafford, what did he have, like 20 interceptions last year, 17 picks? It was a lot. He was up there for leading the league in interceptions, but the yards are going to be there. The offense is there. No Robert Woods, no OBJ. Tyler Higbee is not very good. You know? Would it shock you? And I asked this to Larky last night. Would it shock you? T. Higgins' ADP right now is, I believe, wide receiver 11. And Allen Robinson is coming off of the board as wide receiver 25. I believe that's the case. Best ball ADP. Would it shock you if Allen Robinson ended up outscoring T. Higgins this season?
A little bit, yeah. But
It
I
wouldn't
think to your
shock
point,
me.
it probably, like, I think he's probably got a 30% shot of doing that.
That's it? That's your analysis?
Yeah,
30%?
I give him 30%. Because what I think, like, you could compare him to Megatron, but I would just go simpler than that. Just compare him to Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones had a bunch of great seasons with Matt Stafford as his quarterback. Scored a lot of touchdowns, a lot of jump balls. I think they do a lot of the same things. I think A-Rob is a better receiver. But I think, going to that X receiver of Calvin Johnson is like, okay, maybe he's not going to go quite there. But I think Marvin Jones is a very fair comparison from a talent, skill set standpoint of a player who played with Matt Stafford that had a lot of success, and nobody drafted him, right? Nobody wanted Marvin Jones in any league format for years with Matt Stafford. And A-Rob is basically the same guy with a similar price.
Here's what I'm going to do. If you want in on this action, who wants to bet me? Who wants to make a bet? I'll bet 5 people, $50. Allen Robinson outscores T. Higgins this season in fantasy. You want that bet, Jay? You want that bet?
Sure. No problem. I'll be one of the 5.
All right, you're one. I need 4 more people. Go rate and review the show, screenshot it, DM it to the Wake Up TV account, and we'll lock in a $50. If you think T. Higgins is going to outscore Allen Robinson this year, I got 50 on it. 4 people. I'll put 50 on it. 4 people. Let's get it.
Oh, boy.
Whoever wants it, rate and review the show. I'm going to make you do about 1,000 things. Rate and review the show. Get 5 people to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Tag 5 people.
Bring 5 friends to the show in the morning. No, just rate and review the podcast. DM that shit to @wake up. Wait, DM it to
DM it to Wake Up TV.
Wake Up TV, and we'll lock it in. $50. Let's go. And listen, I ain't one of these cats that renege on bets. I'm not Jay Rich here. I don't hold your money. I'm not Jay Rich. If you think T. Higgins is gonna outscore A-Rob in fantasy this year, holla at me. Because it's not happening, man. I honestly,
Nathan, Apple Podcasts,
I'm
and Spotify, both places. Review the show.
There it is. And I'm with Matt. He talked about Brandon Cooks. I'm in. We've talked about Brandon Cooks on this show. Mike Williams, there's a little dissension there. You're not in as much on that, right? Like
I've had Mike Williams on a lot of rosters for a lot of years.
You feel the nasty taste in your mouth. And then Chris Olave, you agree with him on Olave's upside, right? You think he should be the rookie wide receiver 5 at worst. Is that a fair assessment? And you like him more than J-Mo, right?
No, okay, don't go crazy, but I think I had this conversation with Mike, right? Mike of 40 Chess, like he would rather have Chris Olave than J-Mo because Chris Olave is going to play. And that matters. Like, as much as we want to say it doesn't matter if Jameson Williams doesn't play, well, if he's not playing by week 8 and Chris Olave has 500 yards, that matters. That matters for his value. That matters for his potential trade value. Matters for his value going forward. So, again, we had the conversation, and I do think there's a world where if you want to take the safe bet, and I've said that is before, Chris Olave, the most NFL-ready wide receiver probably in this entire draft class, and in a lot of ways, has still a ton of upside playing for the Saints. Is he going to be the best wide receiver in the class? I don't know. But I think there's a world where he gets on the field early, he plays well, and he's productive. And that's good for retaining value going forward. And we just can't say that about Treylon Burks or about Jameson Williams. I think Drake London will be fine, but Chris Olave could be right up there with Drake London as far as producing early, getting on the field, and performing well, as far as I'm concerned.
Listen, I've called him. I think he's a good NFL wide receiver too. I've said that for a long time, but it's if we're being objective and put all that pre-draft bias bullshit to the side and just look at the offense, look at the situation, Jay. I don't know if I can fade him, man. Like, I think I want him.
Pretty good.
I think I want him. I don't know what I think I want him now.
Yeah.
Again, I still think he was the 3rd best wide receiver on Ohio State last year, but given the fact that did you see the video of Mike? I know it was just practice. Did you see him running? He looked pretty slow, man. But who am I? Who the hell am I to say? I think MT is going to be fine. I do, but Olave is going to be involved in that offense. I think he's going to get those important air yards. And then Allen Robinson. We just continue to talk about that. A super chat came in about A-Rob. Where was it at? I got to get to it. I saw it basically asking, would you take Allen Robinson? Oh, here it is right here. I got to get this. We got to get this up on the screen. Jonathan says, would you trade a 2022 109 for Allen Robinson on a rebuild dynasty team? No. If you're rebuilding, no. A-Rob is a win now move. You don't want to rebuild with A-Rob. He'll be 29 in August. You don't want to rebuild with them. Use that 109. Draft Olave. Draft Sky Moore. Draft a young wide receiver. You don't want to spend 109 for A-Rob on a rebuild. That is not a rebuilding move. That is a compete to win now type roster construction move. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. And yes, Chris Olave did put Pat Surtain on skates. So I just want to say on behalf of myself, on behalf of our show, thank you, Matt Kelley, for taking time out of your busy schedule to record a message. He did that for y'all. He didn't do that shit for me. You know what I'm saying? I could just ask him. Like, I could just text him and be like, what do you think? Like, he did this for y'all. So if you're out there, if you support me, if you rock with everything that we do, I know you're rocking with Player Profiler and Matt Kelley and all the dope things that they're doing. So make sure you tap into their stuff. We'll put a link in the description to all their stuff that you can go to if you're not familiar with this content. So MK, Podfather, even though I struck a nerve with Brian Edwards, and even though I still don't think he's going to do shit in Atlanta, I ain't backing off of that. You ain't going to back GQ down. I respect you. I appreciate you. And thank you for showing some love to our followers, to our viewers. He did that for y'all. Put a lot of time into that. So one more time, round of applause for MK, man. Appreciate you, MK. All right, Jay, we got to do a trader today. We got to pull up what the Destination Devy patrons have been doing. Destination Devy, patreon.com/allgas. Let's take a look at some shit that's being traded around right now in Dynasty. Jay, who do you think we're going to talk about today? Give me a player that you think we're going to dive into today.
I want to talk about Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. I don't think we have a Justin Jefferson trade, man. I was teeing you up.
You put me on the spot.
Yeah,
Can we talk about T. Higgins? Is there a T. Higgins trade in there?
No, I want to talk about Scott. I want to talk about
the.
I want to talk about the Moore brothers, Sky Moore, DJ Moore. Can we talk Sky Moore, DJ Moore?
Boy.
Can we talk Sky Moore, DJ Moore? Can we do that? All right, let's go inside. Let's see what we got.
Boy.
Here we go. Your boy, DJ Moore, right? You got
my boy.
It's your boy, DJ Moore. We got DJ Moore and a 2024 third-round pick being acquired for Amari Cooper and Sky Moore. What side of the deal do you want here? What side of the deal?
I want Cooper and Sky Moore. It's really not even that close. It's really not even that close. I don't want a receiver that scores a touchdown every 300 yards gained. I'm not betting on that guy, considering he doesn't have a quarterback. I'm taking Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson, who should be a very productive wide receiver, and I like the Sky Moore situation. So it's very easy for me. I'm taking Amari Cooper and Sky Moore over Sir DJ Moore and a 24 third, which is basically useless at this point.
That's warm-up stuff. That's warm-up stuff, all right?
Here's one that
this is the one that we want to dive into, because I saw Dynasty Barry asking about Terry McLaurin or Allen Robinson. What would you rather have here, man? Terry McLaurin in the 108 this year, or essentially Jalen Waddle?
I'm taking Terry McLaurin in the 108.
Easy, right?
Very easy. Very easy. You talk about path to playing time. You talk about potential upside. Both those things lean are Terry McLaurin, not Allen Robinson. And you get the 108 on top of that. I will happily trade the age factor, because I think Terry's probably like 26 now.
Yeah, he's 26.
Yeah, so he's a little bit older, but even still, like Jalen Waddle, we don't know what his role is. We don't know how he's going to fit into the offense. I'm going to happily take the age and the pick and draft another wide receiver who could maybe be Sky Moore. Would you take Terry McLaurin and Sky Moore, or Jalen Waddle? And I would happily take Terry McLaurin and Sky Moore over Jalen Waddle.
If Waddle's value is this high right now, man, like, should the prudent move?
I'm out.
You're out? You're out?
If this is his value, yeah, I'm out. I'm fine with Waddle. I still like him. But if you can get out at this price, why wouldn't you? Right? Like, realistically, you're still getting a very productive receiver, and you're getting a way better pick. So why wouldn't you do that?
I agree. All right, let's go one more. I think somebody just posted one. Okay.
Trying to get their trade in.
Carlos is watching the show, so we got to pull him up. 102 or Christian McCaffrey?
That's tough, man.
Oh, no, Jay Rich. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay, it's tough because...
Do not.
Again, do you think this... my first question is, do you think this is a team-dependent trade?
Yes, if you're doing... No. I don't think it's team-dependent. No.
Because I'm taking the 102. I honestly am. I think I'm taking Drake London. I don't want Christian McCaffrey. I really don't. If I could... I would want more... Ugh,
Jay.
But am I really going to trade my 102 for Christian McCaffrey?
Jay
Like,
Rich.
am I really going to do that?
Jay
I don't
Rich.
think I could do that. I don't want to do that. If you offered me Christian McCaffrey for my 102, I'd be like, but why does he want to get rid of Christian McCaffrey? What does he know that I don't know? I'd be questioning everything. I just don't know if I could do it.
You are honestly turning into Skip Richards day by day. You inch a little bit closer to Skip Bayless.
I don't know if I could do it, man. Everyone's saying they take CMC. I would be like, go ahead. I don't know if I could do it.
You would give me Christian McCaffrey for the 102.
No, I'm not saying you should sell Christian McCaffrey for the 102, but I would be hesitant to make this deal if it was the reverse. If someone offered me Christian McCaffrey for the 102, I'd be like, oh, man.
Oh, boy.
I guess CMC, but I don't really want him on the roster. I got to flip him. I got to have to flip him immediately when he has a good game. That's just my mentality, Christian McCaffrey, right now. I have a lot of Christian McCaffrey, and it's not fun. It's not fun lately.
Get Jay Rich off of he is definitely on Fox FS1 every day.
I am waiting for my contract, actually. We've been in negotiations for some time, but nothing yet. Still waiting on that contract.
All right, last question. All right, Jonathan has one. Would you trade the 2022 102, 109, and CEH for Najee Harris rebuilding team? Would you trade Kenneth Walker and Sky Moore and Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Najee Harris?
That I would do.
Yes.
That I would do, for sure.
All right, he just wants to keep sending in. We got one more. Nicholas You got a championship roster. Someone offers to give you Josh Allen for your next 2 draft classes. Wow. Your youngest QB is Matt Stafford. Would you give up your entire 23 and your entire 24 for Josh Allen?
Yeah, because that's cheap. Let's be real. That's cheap. That's not expensive. Would you trade up 2 firsts and seconds for Josh Allen? Yeah, you would, because Josh Allen is worth, 4 firsts? Easily? So if someone says, oh, yeah, this is how you get trades done. You say, I'm not just going to give you my first and second. I'm going to give you my thirds. I'm going to give you my fourths. I'm going to give you my fifths. And you can take all the dart throws you want. But I want Josh Allen. So to me, this is a super, super, super cheap discount on Josh Allen, because he is a guy that if I'm trading him away, if I'm trading Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, they are 3+ firsts. And those seconds, those ain't firsts. Those are seconds, right? So it's an easy smash for me. Easy.
If you are right in a vacuum, if you say 2 firsts and 2 seconds for Josh Allen, right? Like, you're right.
That's cheap.
But you build your depth with some of those. I know they're 3rd and 4th round picks, right? But you're losing out on those the dart throw depth pieces. You are, right? What are the chances you hit on it and it gets done? You know, they end up becoming fantasy viable. I don't know. Probably not high, but I see where you're going.
The deal. Damn.
I see what you're saying.
Well, QB won the last 2 years, right? I believe he's been the QB
back-to-back years. Yeah, I think you know what, Jay. You just had so much conviction to start that it seemed a little off. But we're gonna end on this one. You've inched away from Skip Bayless. This was a good call by you. I do think that.
But the thing is, though, is it better be a championship roster? You can't come in here saying I got a championship roster and it be an iffy championship roster. It's got to be a championship roster for sure.
2 draft classes for Josh Allen. You're in on that. Just your entire 23 and 24 class. You don't give a shit.
Yeah, easily.
All right. There you have it. Jay Rich, if this trade fails, Nick, it's all on Jay Rich. It's not. This was not. But I see what you're saying. I'll say that. I see what you're saying, my friend. So one more time, appreciate everybody in the building. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the content. Thank you, Matt Kelley. Check the description for all of their stuff, where you can find his content, dope content creators at Player Profiler. That's my dog. Podcast beef is not real. Jay Rich, we love you, man. We love you. We appreciate y'all. Have a great fucking Wednesday. We ain't on tomorrow, but we'll be here on Friday, so wake y'all ass up. Jay, looked like you want to say something as I was rolling out.
No, you're good.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, man. We love y'all. We out. Peace.